G'day. So what I wanted to do with this video is just show you guys how to put sections into your Google Forms. So we're going to be using sections in this part. The whole focus around putting the sections in is so that we can get groups of data and get different graphs to compare. So we're going to split sections so we get different answers from different groups, or like, for example, ethnicity or gender. We might want to compare what males said, how they answered a certain question compared to how females answered a certain question. Or we might want to compare how Māori people answered a certain question compared to how Europeans answered a certain question. So we're going to use sections in order to create those up, and I'm going to show you how to, once someone selects a particular group, they go off to a section that they're going to fill in, and that section will give us data for that group. You can also obviously use the sections if you have somewhere in your survey where you'd like to split and say, if you answered yes to this question, you go here, but if you answered no, you're going to just answer these questions, because if you said no to this, there's no point you answering X, Y, and Z. So you can use sections for that, but we're mostly looking at it so that we can create separate graphs, so we can later compare those graphs and then say something about each of those groups, what they think about or how they've answered that question, compare what the differences, look at the differences. What I want to do here is I'm going to use this here to this form that I've started to show you how to do that, and I'll probably use it for many other things, some of the skills that you might want to look into later on down the track. So, but for now we're just going to look at these sections. So what I've got here is I'm looking at the same-sex marriage, and I've got a little blurb there that you can see, and that just says that in 2013 New Zealand passed the Marriage Equality Bill allowing same-sex couples to marry. The purpose of the survey is to find out people's opinions on the effects of this change in the law 3 years later. So what I have thought I had doing some at the time when the discussion was happening, and from what I see elsewhere in the world where these discussions about whether or not same-sex marriages should be allowed, is that it seems to me that the arguments for not having it come from predominantly religious grounds. So in my head, I've decided that I want to then split up to see what people of different religions, or of people who don't believe in religion, what they think should be, what they think about same-sex marriage. So that's going to be my demographic, or my group that I'm splitting it up. Now you might not want to be this complicated. You might like to stick with your demographics of thinking about a male or female, or ethnicity, or age group. That's fine. I just think in this case, in this scenario, that maybe religion was an interesting group that I could split up into and see what the different results were. And that might be something that you looked into when you do your group. So here I've got a bunch of different religions, and I don't have all of the religions, and I also don't have, each religion is broken up into many different sort of subgroups, and there are different variations of each religions that people believe in, and so it's really difficult to get all of those options. So I've got some main ones there that we have here in New Zealand. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a little comment in. So I'll click on my question. Sorry, I don't want to answer another question. I've got myself and other, and I want to come down here and I just want to put in a little description. So I'm going to put for a description. So click on here where it says description, and I'm going to write that pick the option that best describes you. Okay, so I'm just going to use that one there. Now, hopefully what that will do is that will allow, I've got rid of one of the other options which I need to have there. I've accidentally got rid of it. So let's just quickly go here and I'll put that one back in, and I'll make sure I have an option for people who don't necessarily believe. So I'm going to call that atheist, although people might not all like that term, just like people may prefer a different idea for their religion, but I'm going to use atheist to describe people who don't believe in a religion, and it's maybe not as accurate as you'd want, but it will do the job for what we need. And people will be able to put an option other if they feel that they need to use something else. So that covers all of the options that people might have. It allows them to give every answer that they could come up with, and that sort of justification for the options that I've given is the sort of justification you need to be putting in if you want merits in the questionnaire section, in the questionnaire assessment. Anyway, I digress. So I've put those in. I've given a little description there. I've just said to them, please pick the one that best describes you. I've given a good range of options. And now what I want to do is I'm going to go to my next question that I'm going to ask. But I need to make sure that I want to put that into a new section. What I'm going to do when I create a section is I'm going to create one section, and this allows you to duplicate that section. So I'm going to do it once, and I'm going to just write in a couple of questions so you don't get too bored. And then I'll duplicate that and show how we can add that depending on your answer to which religion you are. You go to each of those sections. Okay, so I'm going to just put in a little section here that I'll just say, click on that little button. It's on the right hand side. It looks like an equal sign. You click on that and it makes a separate section. So in this section here, I'm going to call this section, let's call it Christian section. Yeah. And I want to call that, sorry, the name of the question is gender. Now I can actually I was right, sorry, the section title should be Christian. I've done the same thing again. Okay, so this is okay, I've forgotten the H. Okay, there we go. So there's our little section there, and I've created that. And so that's going to be our section title. And I'm just going to add a question to that. So I hit the little plus button, and I get a question. So my first question here is I'm going to ask now simple demographic questions. So we're going to ask about gender. So there we go. Male. And then go down and enter female. So I've just created a question, and you'd obviously want to write many other questions. You'd have all the questions that you've developed, what you want to find out, and you would start adding those in below there. But I don't want to get too bogged down on that. I'll do that in a later video. I just want to show you how you go about sending people to certain directions. So I'm going to click back on my first question that I had here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually click on this little 3 dots right down the bottom. There we go. So it says, there's a one there that says go to section based on answer. So I'm going to click on that one there. So it brings up all the different options there. So I want to say, if you answer Christian, I want you to go to section 2, Christian. There you go. And that's sorted. Now, so I'm going to head back down to this one here, and I'm actually going to go, okay, well, I like all the questions that I've written here. Let's say I've written all my questions, and I want to duplicate that section. So I'm going to make, after section 2, here's section 3, and this one here I'm going to call Muslim. Oh, and I spelled Muslim incorrectly. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, so we've got Muslim, and there we go. And in this case, obviously, I've only made that one question, so that's there. And then I can go back up to my page up here, and when that brings itself back up, okay, people who answer Muslim go to section 3, Muslim. And that is essentially how you go about setting up sections. There'll be more videos like this to give you guys more detail on how to do other things. And yeah, I guess I'll see you then. Ta-da.